Hello, welcome to 10-1. Today we're going to be talking about unit fractions. Now, unit fractions are just fractions where the numerator, or the top number, is equal to 1. So I suppose that's what we should talk about first. The names of the fractions. So like here we have a fraction called 1/2. The top number is called the numerator. And how I remember that is I think of like north is up, numerator, north, both start with N, up. And then our denominator down. Okay, so a unit fraction is just where all the numerators are equal to 1, which you can see these guys here, they're all equal to 1. The top number. And then the bottom number, the denominator, is showing how many pieces do we see, right? Here are denominators 2 and 2. And how many pieces did I cut my whole, pretend this is a chocolate bar. How many pieces did I cut my whole chocolate bar into? 2 pieces. Or here we have 3 equal pieces. I cut my chocolate bar into 3 equal pieces. Or 4 equal pieces. 5 equal pieces. Notice as that denominator is getting larger, the pieces are actually getting smaller. Right? Like 8s. Look how small those 8s are compared to those halves, right? I could get 4 8s in the same amount of space I can get 1/2. That's kind of crazy. So anyways, we're going to be starting our fractions unit, so let's get started. Example 1. Danny shared his sandwich with Steph. So he has one whole sandwich. He broke his sandwich into 2 equal pieces. What fraction of the sandwich did he receive? So here we have our whole sandwich. If I'm going to cut it, right, I'm probably not going to break a sandwich. I'm going to cut a sandwich. Now I can see that each of the kids, Danny and Steph, are going to get half a sandwich. What fraction tiles replaced it? The 1/2 tiles. So each person received 1/2 of a whole sandwich. So here we go again. The unit fraction represents 1 equal part of the whole. The top number of a unit fraction is 1. What do we call that top number? The numerator. The numerator. Example 2. 1 whole, here we have our whole, is divided into 4 equal parts. What unit fraction represents 1 equal part of the whole? Okay, so that's be like I have a sandwich and I've got 4 friends. I'm going to cut my sandwich into 4 equal parts, and each friend is going to get 1/4 of the sandwich. Notice here, our numerator is 1. Our denominator, it says the whole was cut into 4 equal parts. Partitioned is just a fancy word for cut. Okay, so the numerator is what we're talking about. Each person gets 1 out of 4 total pieces. 1/4, and that's how we would spell it, 1/4. Okay? Example 3. Ian made a loaf of bread as his final project in health class. He divided the loaf equally among some students. Each student received 1/8 of the loaf. Into how many equal parts did Ian cut the loaf? So, remember the top number is the one we're talking about. So each person received 1 piece. And our denominator tells us how many pieces was the loaf cut into. We didn't even have to do any math, right? If we took these guys here, we could fit 8 on top. But we can also know that there are 8 equal parts because of our denominator. That tells us that. So if I was going to cut these guys into 8 equal parts here. All right, so let's see. Can we fit 8 pieces onto here? All right, so I'm going to move these guys. 1, 2. Oops. Oh no. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I think I must have cut them a little small. A little bit. All right, I fixed it. So we can fit 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these 1/8 pieces onto our hole. So label each equal sized part 1/8, which we did. So Ian cut the loaf into 8 equal parts, or eighths. All right, here it says, divide the whole, which is just one rectangle here, into equal parts. Then label each part with its unit fraction. So if I want 2 equal parts, I mean I'm cutting it in half, right? Be like if I had 1 chocolate bar and I'm sharing it between 2 friends, you each would get half of the chocolate bar. So we'll say half is about right there. This would be 1 out of 2 pieces, 2 equal pieces, right? So let's say you're sharing with your brother or sister and you're like, hey, brother or sister, this part's for me and this part's for you. That's not half, right? Those are not 2 equal pieces. Okay, so we're pretending. Don't pretend you're sharing with brother and sister. Pretend you're sharing with friends. You want your friends to like you. All right, so boop, half, right? And I mean, it's going to be approximate when we're drawing the lines. Computers are much better than humans, right? So these are its unit fractions because there's a 1 on the top. 4 equal parts. So here's how I do 4. I cut it in half, and then I cut each of those other pieces in half. So I cut half twice. This one right here needs to scooch a little bit. There we go. So now I have 1 out of 4 total pieces, 1 out of 4 total pieces, 1 out of 4 total pieces, and 1 out of 4 total pieces. 8 equal parts, okay? Now for 8, kind of the same thing. I do half, then I cut those halves in half to get fourths, and then I cut the fourths in half, 1, 2, 3, to get eighths. Now let's see. 1 out of 8, 1 out of 8, 1 out of 8, 1 out of 8. There we got 4. 1 out of 8, 1 out of 8, 1 out of 8, 1 out of 8. And there I have 8 pieces. So that's kind of a little trick. Now, like if we're going to do thirds, thirds are tricky. You kind of have to eyeball it. So thirds, I kind of go like boop, boop. I have to make 2 lines if I'm cutting something into 3 equal pieces. So this would be like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But then the same applies if I wanted to do sixths. Let's see if I can draw the same kind of rectangle here. Okay. If I wanted to do sixths, which is twice as many as thirds, I just cut the thirds. And then I cut the thirds in half. Now how many pieces do I have? 6. 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, and 1/6. Okay, so I don't know. It's kind of fun figuring out how to cut these so that they look the same. If you ever start on one end and go to the other end, then you kind of get off a bit. But that's all I have for you today. We're just talking unit fractions where the numerator, number at the top, is 1. And the denominator tells us how many equal parts to cut our whole into. That's all I have for you for today. So please let me know if you have any questions. Bye.